Greetings again, Mech Warriors, and welcome to our BattleTech Supplements series. Like we mentioned before, a lot of these older gamebooks cost a lot of C-bills on the resellers market. You might want to be informed before pulling the trigger on that kind of money on sites such as eBay. This book is also available in PDF form from sites such as Catalyst Game Labs web store and DriveThru RPG at a much more affordable price. In this video, we'll be covering a sourcebook in the form of an in-universe Comstar document, covering the history of what is considered to be the greatest triumph and ultimate failure of the Terran hegemony, the Star League. The book begins with a preface from 3 members of the Comstar Star League project, written in October of 3028, briefly summarizing the contents of the book and attempting to convince the reader they kept editorializing to a minimum. This is Comstar, however, so take that into consideration. We also get this rad artwork with imagery reminiscent of a medieval knight marching in front of a castle, but as a Star League soldier marching in front of a domed city. What is that, though? Is that a lizard-shaped helmet? Practical? No. Badass? Absolutely. Here we get into the meat of the book, the history section. Keep in mind, this book was released in 1988. This video was released in 2024. There are going to be outdated terms such as references to the USSR, a country which existed well into the 21st century in the BattleTech fiction, but in reality found dissolution in the early 1990s. This section takes up roughly half of the page real estate of the book, and we begin with the fictional introduction explaining how the romantic idea of the Star League's creation by Ian Cameron is more nuanced, and we need to take a step back to 2011 to see how the seeds of such an awesome force were planted. Split between many subsections, we get a history lesson on mankind's Terran conflicts leading into interstellar colonization and the politics involved, culminating in a coup by a figure known as James McKenna, who managed, for a time, to bring an exhausted Terra under one government, the Terran Hegemony. Oh my god, they did it again. The dictionary defines hegemony as preponderant influence or authority, especially of one blah blah blah. I'm looking for these now in each of these supplements. Maybe they're Easter eggs. Using the Hegemony Armed Forces, or HAF, McKenna attempted to bring the colonies under his rule. This proved to be more difficult than expected, culminating in his son, Conrad, blundering an attempt to control a location called Surma, ending in tragic losses from both the HAF Army and Navy. James McKenna retired immediately after and died days later. A significant section of the history chapter then follows the lineage and events surrounding the Cameron family. In this period, there was a greater focus on scientific development, the signing of the Ares Convention, the birth of the battle mech, and details regarding the rise and fall of the Star League. During the Star League era, we get to read about a major event known as the Reunification War, where the Star League makes the similar mistake of the HAF, in attempting to bring the periphery, the governments outside of the inner sphere, under their umbrella, and fails. This goes on to cover the decline of peace within the inner sphere itself. Taking advantage of Richard Cameron, a figure known as Stephen Amaris schemed and executed a plot to take control through murder, kidnapping, and military action. One of the largest figures in the BattleTech fiction and general of the Star League Defense Force, Alexander Kerensky, did not take kindly to this, and civil war erupted. After over a decade of fighting, with many losses, the SLDF proved triumphant, and the Amaris family were executed for their crimes. And then the infighting between the leaders of the Inner Sphere resumed without delay, struggling with each other over control of the Inner Sphere and the Star League. Foreseeing the devastation the SLDF would bring in this situation, Kerensky gathered all those loyal to him who shared his same philosophies, simply took the vast majority of the SLDF and left beyond the periphery with the single command, Exodus. Keep in mind, what I just mentioned in the history section is fleshed out over nearly 100 pages, and there's a lot of detail and nuance included for these events and many in between, and reads similar to a textbook. This next chapter of the book goes into great detail on the government of the Terran hegemony. This covers, from top to bottom, the First Lord, High Council, Royal Court, Nobility, Bureau of Star League Affairs, Department of Administration, Department of Social Relations, Department of Economic Relations, Department of Revenue, Department of Education and Information, and the Department of the Attorney General. Such an exciting chapter. Recommended reading for all. Here we go. That's better. A new chapter covering the details of the Star League Defense Forces. Forces. It starts with a list of all of the generals of the SLDF, with biographies in chronological order. This chapter also provides information on the recruiting process and education of SLDF soldiers, and details the structure, bases, unit compositions, uniforms, ranks, and insignias of the force. This includes color images for the uniforms and insignias. This chapter includes 20 pages of charts detailing the various military divisions placed in the various sectors of space, and whether or not they stayed in the inner sphere or participated in the Exodus. We then move on to the next chapter, Socioeconomics, which goes into detail on the economic dealings with the various factions of the Inner Sphere, as well as in-depth descriptions of the private companies the SLDF made business with. There is also a section about the currency, the Star League dollar, and even lists the mints and exchanges. Another very riveting chapter. The Society chapter provides information on living in a Star League era Inner Sphere, how religion and science found common ground, the universities citizens could attend, and arts and entertainment. We also read about societal problems like those uppity farmers and all the problems they caused with their uppity shenanigans. The final chapter of the Star League provides information on the 18 inhabited planets of the Terran Hegemony and a map of the Inner Sphere circa 2570. The information for each planet is quite detailed, includes their name, star type, system position, time to jump point, the name of its recharging station, affiliation, population, and native life. For each entry, it also includes many paragraphs of detailed descriptions of the world. Unlike the previous book we covered, First Strike, this book is not exactly written for the casual classic BattleTech player. This book is 100% lore about the Star League, and does not provide any rules for gameplay or scenarios to participate in. However, there is a lot of value here for mechwarriors who would like to get to know the kind of universe BattleTech takes place in, and see the seeds planted here that grow throughout the various eras we play through. This book is an amazing resource if you are participating in one of the various BattleTech role-playing games, or even for those who need detail for a narrative campaign for classic BattleTech. That's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe and all that. Please leave a comment, and if there are any suggestions on a specific book you would like covered in this series, please let me know. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.